In the last class, we looked at different types of cell adaptations. We ended up with metaplasia and dyskinesia. Today, we'll be looking at morphology of reversible cell injury. So, what happens in cell injury and what you can see in cell injury? Morphology is essentially what are the cellular changes that you can see. Essentially, what are the cellular changes that are occurring in a cell, which you'll be able to view under a microscope, or maybe if it is a large enough event, you'll be able to see it all around in the whole organ as such. Now, we talk about the morphology of reversible cell injury. Okay, before showing this to you, I'd like to show you a small algorithm so that you get a better picture of what is the difference between, cell injury, what happens, what is the difference between reversible and irreversible cell injury, how does your body proceed to apoptosis, necrosis, and all of that. See, so in any case, if a normal cell is present, it will try to maintain homeostasis. It will try to resist change. It will try to maintain its solidarity where it is, the same as such, how it is functioning normally. Only if there is application of stress. At that time, initially a normal cell will try to adapt one way or the other. Without changing its form, it will try to adapt as much as possible. If it is not able to adapt, that leads to cell injury. Now, depending on the extent of the stress and depending on what you call how incapable that cell is to adapt, cell injury might become more severe or less severe, and depending on how long the stress has been applied as well, the injury will vary. So if it is something which is mild and transient in the sense that it is something that is applied for a short period of time. Okay, transient is something where, in case of stress, let's suppose, अगर transient stress की बात कर रहे हैं, so it will be something that is applied sparingly and it is few and far between. Okay, so let's suppose a mild transient kind of injury would be if someone falls down, okay, and let's suppose they graze their knee, okay, that is a mild kind of injury. That is reversible injury, okay. Once reversible injury is treated in the sense that you dress it and eventually your body will start recovering. Essentially, what will happen is regeneration will occur. If it is a surface level injury, especially, it will the cells will regenerate pretty quickly and you will go back to normalcy. Okay, the reversible injury will go back to cells of underwent reversible injury. They will turn into normal cells later on with the influx of new cells. In case cell injury is persistent, if it is progressive, and suppose that stress is very very severe, at that point of time, your cell will undergo irreversible cell injury where there is no coming back. Okay, reversible cell injury say once the stress is removed, that cell can recover. It can come back to normalcy. Irreversible injury may say it cannot. Once irreversible cell injury occurs, more often than not, what happens is the cell will either undergo necrosis, necrotic death, or it will undergo, apoptosis, wherein your body is deciding that okay, this cell or these bunch of cells, this tissue is worthless, it is not functioning anymore, so we need to eliminate it from the body. Okay, that is apoptosis. So apoptosis is essentially a pathway of cell death where your body is genetically determining which cells are useless and there is internal self-destruction mechanism of that cell. So the cell itself will start dying. Okay, there will be peroxisomes and lysosomes being released and it will lead to cell death. That is programmed. Okay, there will be a few markers, few enzymes that will be released near those cells, indicating that okay, look, these cells are useless now. Those cells, the lysosomes inside the cells will burst open and they will essentially, what are present inside the lysosome. Lysosomal enzymes will essentially destroy its own cell. Okay? The type of autolysis होता in apoptosis. But this is programmed because your body specifically knows which cells are not working and it will only kill those cells. Necrosis, on the other hand, is kind of more uh, catastrophic in a way. Okay, it is a consequence of a lethal injury. So it can be because of several reasons. Now, causes of necrosis can be, all the way from hypoxia or ischemia. Any cause of cell injury as such, if it persists for a long period of time, it can cause necrosis. Okay, to put it simply, any cause, तो आप chemical cause ले लो, chemical agent या physical agents या microbial agents ले लो, any agent of cell injury that has been persisting for a long period of time and it is causing a significant change in the patient's constitution that might lead to necrosis. All right. In any case, when we talk about, so coming back to, yeah, morphology of reversible cell injury, you will see four main changes that will occur in reversible cell injury. They are cellular swelling. So the cell will literally swell up. Okay. This is also called hydropic change in certain textbooks. Okay. Then you will see fatty change, steatosis जिसको बोलते हैं. You will see hyaline change. Hyaline change, as in what will happen is glass-like opacities. So hyaline is a specific material. It's a protein that will start getting accumulated near damaged tissue and damaged cell. So you will see glass-like opacities being accumulated near and around that damaged cell and damaged tissue. That is one change. Finally, mucoid change. Mucoid change is when a specific substance called mucin will start getting accumulated around the cell, the damaged cell. So there are four main things that will happen in reversible cell injury morphologically. Okay, the shape change and the physical attributable change that you will see in a cell. If you look at it under a microscope, you will see four things. One is that the cell is swelling; it will become bigger in size. Okay, it is not hyperplasia. The cell is swelling. It will get filled up with fluid, right? That is it's called hydropic change. Then there is fatty change, where the cell is getting deposited with fats. There is hyaline change, where glass-like opacities are coming and getting deposited in and around the cell. Same for mucoid change. Mucin will start getting accumulated in and around the cell. So these are the four main, morphological features of reversible cell injury. Now, if the stress exceeds the capacity of the cell to adapt, okay, if the stress is persistent and it is progressive for a long period of time, it will lead to structural and functional changes in the cell where your cell will start moving towards cell death. Okay, it will go into the territory of irreversible cell injury and slowly it will start progressing towards cell death. Just before cell death comes a few changes. So it may occur as focal changes, right? Pinpoint changes, jo bolte. Pinpoint change, it can be as necrosis or it can be as apoptosis, or sometimes it can be secondary changes that will follow. So in certain cases, before dying, what will happen is in certain cells, they will become gangrenous. Okay. Yeah, I'll explain what is gangrene. Gangrene is a special type of necrosis. But essentially, kya ho raha? Necrosis means cell is dying. So I'll show you an example how necrosis looks. So this is how necrosis looks. Okay, this is the neatest image I could get because others are kind of graphic. So this is necrosis. Right? As you can see on the left, that was how you can see small marks here. The beginning of necrosis here. See. As it progressed, it went even further. And देखो बढ़ते जा रहा यहाँ right? It's just clear progression of damage, right? Eventually, what will happen is you'll have to cut off that part because necrosis is something that you cannot treat, and necrotic tissue spreads. The chemical constituents of necrosis, they will start spreading in such a way that it will start affecting the nearby tissue and nearby cells, and those cells will start dying as well. That is why it is generally advised that any necrotic tissue or any gangrenous tissue, it will be cut off. Okay, whether it is a finger, if it is a limb, whatever it is, it needs to be cut off. Okay. Apoptosis, I just told you, it is programmed cell death. So only a specific part of a tissue or a whole tissue as such will be lysed by your cell's own mechanism by triggering lysosomes and triggering peroxisomes. Then we come to gangrene. Now, gangrene is a very special type of necrosis as such. Abhi necrosis mein aap dekhe ki the cell is dying and you are seeing blackish discoloration, and if you see under a microscope, you will see complete cell death. In gangrene, what will happen is in that area where cells are dying, there will be a bacterial infection, generally infection, not necessarily only bacteria, but more often than not, it will be any putrefactive organism. Putrefactive organisms, usko bolte hain, jinko those which produce pus. Okay, whenever how should I put it? Okay, gangrene is a form of tissue necrosis with superadded invasion by putrefactive organisms. Now, the most common type of organism that will cause gangrene is Clostridium perfringens. Okay, more often than not, the bacteria that will invade any necrotic space. Now, necrotic space, you have to remember that it does not have any oxygen because the cell has died. See, essentially, क्या होता है एक cell मर गया, yeah, if there is ischemia, hypoxia, whatever the cause of injury is, leading to irreversible injury and finally to necrosis, you have to bear in mind that blood supply to that particular tissue more often than not is cut off, meaning that cell and that tissue is not receiving any oxygen. So any bacteria or any organism that will invade that area almost always are anaerobic. Okay, they are anaerobic bacteria or anaerobic organisms that will thrive without the presence of oxygen, and they are putrefactive, meaning they will start producing pus. ठीक है, तो आपके gangrene is a special type of necrosis wherein the necrotic tissue is getting infected by a bacteria or by a microorganism, more often than not an anaerobic organism, which is putrefactive. So you have Clostridium perfringens and sometimes group A Streptococcus. Both of these are common. They commonly cause gangrene. Okay. Now, gangrene as such is of three types. One second. Okay. Gangrene is of three types. Now, this is a little graphic, so if you are squeamish, please be careful. Now, gangrene mein, first type will be dry gangrene. Dry gangrene essentially occurs in, see, most of these gangrene will occur in lower limbs, distal parts of lower limbs. So, यहाँ पर direct example toes का दिए. More often than not, it will occur in distal parts of lower limbs, sometimes distal parts of upper limbs as well, right? Fingers or toes. And mostly it will be in patients who have atherosclerosis. So atherosclerosis is a special condition in which your arteries are getting sclerosed. They are becoming dry, they are becoming hard, and they are getting blocked. Okay, so that condition, we discuss about atherosclerosis. You have the disease in your subject, but when we come across it, the only high and dry of it is that the blood vessel will become dry, and rather than dry, it is better to say that it will get deposited by certain materials which will block the artery itself. So essentially what will happen is आपकी artery के अंदर one second, I'll show you what will happen. Atherosclerosis में, imagine this is a cross section of a blood vessel that I'm taking. Imagine this is an artery. Okay, slowly, because of deposition of certain materials, because of an inflammatory reaction, this circumference will start decreasing, and यहाँ पे जो blood flow होना था, that will stop. Okay, so essentially what is happening is the whole artery is getting blocked. That is atherosclerosis. And at the same time, what will happen is that part of the blood vessel. So imagine I'm looking at it laterally. Okay, imagine this is the same blood vessel which is undergoing atherosclerosis, and यहाँ पर blockage है. Cross section अपन इधर का देखें ऐसा cross. This area will get sclerosed. It will become extremely hard. So your blood vessels are supposed to be supple. Okay, they are elastic and flexible, so as to bear the brunt of your blood. Your blood and your blood pressure flow at quite a lot of force, essentially. So to bear that pressure, your blood vessels need to be nice and flexible and elastic. यहाँ पर because of atherosclerosis, what will happen is at one point of time they will get sclerosed. There will be calcification, and the tunica intima, tunica media, even to a certain extent tunica externa will get calcified. When we study about atherosclerosis, I'll go into more detail. But essentially, that whole area will become hard, and that blood vessel will lose its elasticity. So essentially, ये blood vessel, whichever area this blood vessel was supplying blood to, let's suppose it was supplying blood to certain tissue like this. Okay, this tissue will lose its oxygen supply completely if there is this atherosclerosis. Okay, because of which what will happen is gangrene can occur. That is why I told you dry gangrene mostly occurs in distal parts of lower limbs, especially in old people who have had atherosclerosis for a long time. Then there is wet gangrene. Now, wet gangrene generally occurs in moist areas. So, what are moist areas of your body? Generally, mouth, lungs, bowel, cervix. Those areas there will be wet gangrene. Okay. Then there is a special type of wet gangrene called gas gangrene. गैस गैंग्रीन इसलिए स्पेशल है क्योंकि in this, what will happen is there is a special type of bacteria that will start producing gas. Okay, will literally have putrefactive gas being released by that bacteria in that area. Okay, so the progress of the damage is very, very extensive in gas gangrene and wet gangrene as such. And more often than not, what happens is wet gangrene itself is occurring in wet areas which are, let's suppose आपकी buccal cavity है या lung है या cervix है, it is hidden from sunlight. As such, that area is enclosed. It's a nice dry, it is a nice damp, dark place. So very good for bacterial growth as such. And if you already have gangrene in that area, that is like sone pe suhaga. So gas gangrene becomes very serious. So what will happen is generally, most often than not, Clostridium perfringens is the one that is causing this. Okay. Clostridium perfringens will start producing bacteria, toxic gas that will start affecting other nearby organs as well. Okay, it might interfere with your own circulation. It might start affecting your overall health as well. Okay, that is why gas gangrene is pretty serious. We don't have a lot of detail about it, but just remember that gas gangrene is just a distinctive and special form of wet gangrene, wherein the anaerobic bacteria mostly it will be gram positive. So gram positive anaerobic bacteria is producing a lot of gas, okay, toxic gas. Then there is another change that will occur in reversible cell injury that is called pathological calcification. Okay, sorry, not in reversible, irreversible. Pathological calcification में क्या होगा? Calcification as such, if you talk about calcification as a term, इसमें क्या हो रहा? There is calcium deposition. Okay, let's suppose this is calcium, and if it is occurring in bones or if it is occurring in enamel, that is good. But it is making sure that calcium, mineral salts of calcium, all of them are being deposited in bone and from cartilage, and it is getting deposited in your enamel, making them nice and strong. Now, sometimes what happens is deposition of iron, magnesium, and calcium. The salts of these will start being deposited in tissues other than bone. So places like your muscles, soft tissue, ठीक है, वो smooth muscles, वहां पर जाके deposit होने लगे, then it is called pathological calcification. So because that is not normal, okay, because there is, even if it is in your blood vessel, as I just told you, in case of atherosclerosis, what will happen is, let's suppose these are the three layers of your blood vessel, cinica, intima, media, and externa. Eventually, as damage increases, there will be deposition of calcium here. That is also one of the reasons why it will get sclerosed. It will get hardened because यहाँ पर calcium का deposition होने लगा. This is stemming from a problem, cardiovascular problem, which is atherosclerosis, because there is a plaque being formed यहाँ पर. We'll discuss what is a plaque later on, but because there is a, let's suppose I call it a blockage for now, okay, rather than the plaque, because there is a blockage for now which is hindering blood flow. Eventually, what will happen is calcification will start occurring in this blood vessel, and that blood vessel become harder. The same will occur in other tissues as well. Wherever there is damage occurring, wherever calcification is occurring other than its intended place. So normally it should only occur in bones and in enamel. दूसरी जगह जहां पर भी occur हो रहा, more often than not it will be pathological calcification. Okay, pathological calcification can be categorized under two types. You have dystrophic and metastatic. Yeah. Dystrophic calcification occurs when deposition is occurring in local dying tissue. Okay, let's suppose there is necrosis and there is apoptosis occurring in nearby tissue. The cell is dying, any part of the cell. Let's suppose someone's liver, a few hepatocytes are dying. Okay, let's suppose this small part of liver is undergoing cell death and the tissue surrounding tissue is dying. वहां पर अगर calcification हुआ तो उसको dystrophic calcification बोलते हैं. Metastatic calcification occurs in normal tissue. Essentially, they look normal, but because calcification is occurring where it is not supposed to, it is indicative that more often than not it will be related to a cancerous condition. Okay, यहाँ पर क्या हो रहा? Let's suppose there is one cell. Let's suppose in your kidney. Okay, there is epithelium. And in that epithelium, if you look normally under a microscope, that epithelium is not showing any particular change, like any signs of injury as such. But there is deposition of calcium and calcium salts and minerals. This will be categorized as metastatic calcification because it is not showing any apparent signs of damage, but there is calcification in that area. That will generally indicate that there is metastatic calcification occurring. Now, more often than not, why this happens is either there is a malignant involvement, or there is hypercalcemia. The patient is consuming way too much amount of calcium, because of which what is happening is excessive amount of calcium is getting deposited here and there. Okay. That can also be another reason for metastatic calcification. So calcification as such, pathological calcification is a condition in which deposition of mineral salts of calcium occurs in places other than bone and enamel. Okay. यहाँ पर pathological calcification can be of two types. One is dystrophic, wherein it is occurring in dying tissue, or it can occur in a metastatic way where apparently normal tissue is having excessive amount of calcium or any calcium being deposited in it, which it should not. There should be no calcium being deposited in places where there is no business for calcium. Okay, epithelium में calcium deposit होना is not normal. That will indicate metastatic calcification until and unless that epithelium is dying. Again, if it is dying, then it will be dystrophic. Okay, so that is calcification. Then we'll come to our next topic. If you have doubts till this point, if you want me to repeat anything, feel free to ask. Okay. Infiltration and regeneration. Now, we'll first start off with infiltration. Infiltration essentially means diffusion of some foreign particle, diffusion bolo, या accumulation of substances in abnormal amounts. Okay, something that is infiltrating inside normal tissue space and causing damage. Okay? Sometimes infiltration is also associated with cancer cells. Okay? Generally, what will happen is invasion of cancer cells into underlying matrix, or sometimes even into blood vessels is categorized as infiltration. But here we are looking at any abnormal substances, especially substances or which are accumulating in abnormal amounts into tissue space. That is categorized under infiltration. Hold on 1 second. I'm in class, बाद में आओ. 10 minutes. मैं क्लास में हूँ, एक 10 मिनट से बात करता हूँ. Hey guys, sorry about that. So as I was saying, infiltration में यहाँ पर, if you talk about the causative agents of infiltration as such, some of the most common ways through which infiltration can occur is, let's suppose someone is performing a venipuncture, okay, and they're not doing it properly. So if they're puncturing a distal vein, that is a type of infiltration. Yeah, puncturing any portion of the vein wall with mechanical friction. So it can be either through catheter or from a needle cannula, okay, or sometimes what will happen is dislodgement of catheter. if you're removing a catheter or a needle from a cannula from the intima of the vein, sometimes if it is not done properly, it can lead to damage. Okay? And what will happen is blood will start going to spaces where it should not. Because of damage to surrounding tissues, blood will start spilling out, one thing, and you'll start seeing blood getting accumulated, sometimes leading to internal bleeding as well. All right. You'll see a little spots, small blebs, purplish blebs around the area where the cannula was inserted. Sometimes if you're using an improperly sized cannula, where you're not supposed to, अगर thinner gauge का use करना है, आप thicker gauge का use कर रहे हैं, so it can lead to a problem. Yeah, sometimes the delivery rate of fluid is very high, excessive delivery rate of fluid, that can lead to infiltration. What will happen is, if you push too much amount of fluid at a very rapid pace, sometimes your body will not be able to absorb it properly, and that fluid will start moving around in the surrounding tissue. That can also be a sign of infiltration. The fluid is essentially infiltrating into the surrounding tissue. Okay. Now, how you see for this, or how you can see the signs and symptoms of these, will more often than not be, infusion will stop, it will slow down or it will stop. Yeah, where there is inflammation near that area where you are inserting the cannula or you are inserting the needle, it will inflame, it will become swollen, and the skin will become very tight, and there'll be a lot of pain. Even if you touch the patient near that area, they will start, becoming very uncomfortable near the insertion site. Sometimes what will happen is there is no backflow of blood into IV tubing. Okay, that can also indicate that there has been infiltration. Okay, especially if you are lowering the solution container, there should be a little bit of backflow of blood. But that if that is not occurring with IV tubing, at that point you can, generally safe to say that there might be improper catheterization or improper cannulization. ठीक है, आप बराबर needle insert नहीं करें. Generally, what you can do in such conditions is you can perform cold compression. Okay, you can take you remove the needle and you remove the cannula and you compress with some ice bag or something like that. Okay, near the infiltrated area. You can sometimes even use warm compress. Okay, if available, use warm compress or you can use a cold compression. नहीं तो एक क्या है, sometimes what will happen is patients will try to move around a lot, especially in case of infiltration, because they are uncomfortable. They'll try to raise their arm or they'll try to move around a lot, which might be more uncomfortable, and they might not realize it. Okay, that is why it is best that whenever there is any signs of infiltration, you call the physician as soon as possible. Agar ho raha to, they might need to perform a larger dressing, or they might need to clean up more, in a more proper way. Agar infiltration hua to, as such, by such a mistake of cannula or something like that. Okay. If they move around, if they elevate the arm or the limb which has been infiltrated, it might be more painful, especially in case of infiltrated extremities. अगर आप lower limbs में कर रहे हैं या upper limbs में कर रहे हैं, especially your fingers and your toes, वहां पर क्या होता है, अगर आप elevate कर रहे हैं after the infiltration has occurred, it might be painful for the patient. So try to call the physician as soon as possible and try to make sure the patient is not moving around too much. And apply cold or warm compression, whatever is available for you. Okay. Now we'll discuss about regeneration in the next class. Okay.